Hi, I'm Darcy Weir, and you're about to watch another Occult Journeys documentary. This is a segment from a longer documentary that I made in the past called Secret Space UFOs, Fastwalkers. In the documentary, we follow a history of possible NASA involvement with UFOs in space, and maybe their hand in a cover-up. If you like this, make sure to like and subscribe. This is the Unveiled podcast that's hosted regularly by Rob Fliss. That rhymes with bliss. And make sure at the end of watching this, you will have a comments and description link that you can follow to go to a live Q&A in which we're going to actually have Dr. Gregory Rogers, a former NASA employee who served in the STS shuttle missions, and during that time at NASA, he saw his very own UFO.
Commencing on April 12, 1981 with STS-1 and a new reusable spacecraft would lead the way in a new era for NASA's public space missions.
3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff of Endeavour, going where east and west do meet at the International Space Station.
Houston now controlling.
Houston, Endeavour, roll program.
Roger, roll, Endeavour.
NASA's Space Shuttle STS missions were packed with technical achievements as they transported people, equipment, and supplies to and from low Earth orbit while supporting the construction and maintenance of the International Space Station. This reusable spacecraft was designed to embark on a wide range of thrilling missions, including deploying and retrieving satellites, servicing, and conducting cutting-edge scientific experiments.
He's at the very end. This is Yevgeny. Doing a little tour. This is the FGB, and what's cool about this module, it is actually the very first piece of the space station that came up in 1998. The space station has been around for about now, manned for 12 years, but it's been up in space for about 14 years. And this was the very first. It is like the Russians' PMM. It has a lot of storage, as you can see. Можно? Снимаем. Чуть-чуть. So here we are in the heart of the space station, really. This is the service module. This is the central post. In case we had any problems, I know a couple of the questions were about what type of things do you have to worry about. And some of the things we have to worry about in space are fire. If we had a fire, if we had a depressurization, like we were hit by a micrometeorite and it made a hole, or if we had some type of toxic atmosphere. We use ammonia for our radiator, so there is a possibility that ammonia could come into the vehicle, and then it would be bad for all of us. If we have any of those problems, we come right here, which we call the central post. It is the main heart of the space station. It was also the first computers that came up here that ran the space station. And so behind this wall right here are these main computers. So we gather here as a group of 3 or 6 and then figure out how we're going to either fight the fire, patch the hole, or solve the toxic spill. And what's cool about this module, of course, it's the central post. It also has great windows right down toward Earth. It has controls to fly in visiting spacecraft if they need some assistance right here. It has Russian computers as well as American computers to help us control anything we need to on the space station.
This program's ultimate goal was to ignite the imaginations of future generations by achieving our knowledge in exciting fields like aerodynamics, material science, and life signs. The program ran for 135 missions, culminating in 2011 with a final flight by the Shuttle Atlantis.
The stuff that NASA has released or talked about, astronauts have seen stuff following the space station or capsules or whatever, I think they're observing us. There's some speculation that aliens are responsible for us not getting into a nuclear war with the Soviets or the Chinese.
NASA has had a number of cases where they have dealt in some fashion with UFOs. And of course, that is, I'm sure, classified and kept secret and hidden from the public.
STS-29 was off to a great start in terms of making space history. As the primary payload, the Tracking and Data Relay Satellite 4, TDRS-4, was attached to an inertial upper stage IUS. It was set to be the third TDRS to be deployed. Once deployed, the IUS shot the satellite into geosynchronous orbit, but what the crew witnessed next was far beyond their imagination. As the crew conducted various secondary payloads, including experiments like protein crystal growth and chromosomes and plate cell division, they couldn't shake off what they saw. John E. Blaha was overheard saying something very odd in terms of UFO activity. While the debate surrounding this statement's authenticity would ensue,
check the wrist disconnects to open. Don the thumb loose. Let me do that. See, we're out of line.
it was evident that this mission would go down in history as the one that witnessed something unexplainable.
There was an incident with the Space Shuttle Discovery where Don Ratch, who is a UFO researcher, was listening. He liked to listen to the shuttle talking back and forth with Houston. After an hour and a half, he heard one of the astronauts say, "We have a fire." Maybe they had a fire, maybe they didn't. Nobody seemed to be getting excited. And UFO researchers think that what happens in that situation is that they have spotted a UFO or some kind of extraterrestrial spacecraft, and that's a code that they use to describe that. So he sat down right away and started recording.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under occurrence.
And a couple minutes later, he heard that someone on that same channel he'd been listening to, NASA was presented with that. They denied that that was an astronaut, although it was on that same channel. I guess you need about 20 words for a voice print analysis, and there are only 13 words, so we could not prove that it was somebody at NASA saying that, but it was kind of fishy because it was on that same channel that Don Ratch had been listening to for a couple hours. That would have to be a very classified topic.
On the thumb loose.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under occurrence.
So I'm just driving back from a little visit that I paid the JFK Space Center located in Florida. I had heard through fellow UFO researchers about seeing the Shuttle Atlantis that's decommissioned there at the Space Center. The incredible thing about this craft, which very few people actually know, is that it's completely covered with high-tech space cameras. When I say space cameras, I mean cameras that are built to withstand the unfiltered light and the harsh conditions of cislunar space outside of the Earth's atmosphere. Now, few people are aware that this remarkable spacecraft has cutting-edge technology for recording video. They actually outfit the spacecraft with far ultraviolet light spectrum space cameras. And what's also very cool about this is that you can see the cameras all over the craft. And we're not talking about like 4 or 5. There are cameras all over the interior of the shuttle bay for deploying satellites and, parts that were used to outfit the International Space Station. They also have cameras on the end of every robotic arm. And there were multiple robotic arms that were connected to the shuttle. You also have the fact that all of these astronauts that went up into space to eventually join the ISS or to just do a round trip on the shuttle were well equipped with cameras either on the ISS or inside of the compartments, the pressurized compartment for the shuttle spacecraft. And a lot of the videos that people question, are these actual UFOs flying around in space outside of Earth, are being caught on these specialized space cameras. So when people say, oh, well, I don't believe that video because it's probably just 3D or CGI or somebody's manipulated the image. No, that's not the case. These videos are being caught on government-operated NASA space cameras, which are untampered with. And they're incredibly important videos most of the time because they're just as important as, let's say, the videos you see being shot by the fighter craft, in which we got the Tic Tac UFO, the Nimitz Go Fast gimbal UFO videos from. So I think what you'll see when we go through all of this UFO video, possible UFO activity video that comes from the NASA space missions, you will see that we're looking at cameras that are capturing this in space and astronauts sometimes talking about what they saw on camera before they, cut the feed or obscure the image or, what they classically do to cover up the UFO.
One type of camera that was continually capturing these objects interacting with Earth and space is called a far-light ultraviolet spectrum camera. During the 1990s, NASA carried out space shuttle missions and recorded footage like this. In this footage of what seems to be a formation of objects moving over the Earth, one object can be seen escaping the atmosphere as we hear NASA explaining the technology of what they use to capture these images.
Mission Control, Houston. This view is being taken with the GLOW camera, housed in Endeavour's payload bay as one of 4 different experiments that are hitching a ride on the International Extreme Ultraviolet Hitchhiker payload that is housed in Endeavour's payload bay.
A GLOW camera is a code name used for the technology that can capture things which cannot be seen by the human eye but are visible in the ultraviolet light spectrum. This special light spectrum camera technology was extremely expensive at the time. It is also similar to what civilian researchers and military personnel have caught on infrared cameras around the world today. Martin Stubbs, a Canadian television broadcast station manager, took interest in UFOs back in the late 80s and early 90s. Martin knew that he could use the television station's satellite dish to intercept NASA's STS mission video downlink in order to observe what they were seeing and doing in space.
Get a videotape recorder, an SVH machine, an older model, funny enough, not the digital model, that literally, when you rolled the thing, it would break the frames into fields. And in reality, there are 60 individual pictures that make up 1 second of video. And that's when I found them.
Hello.
Hey, Martin.
Hello.
How you doing? It's Darcy. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. This is sounding like 100% way better. It was just, you were cutting up a bit there. So...
because of the nature of my work, I had access to space, and I couldn't understand why nobody was interested in it. I was with MUFON, and they said, I said, isn't anybody doing this? And they weren't. So it just amazes me because, it's very rare you get access to something like that, and nobody else in the world is doing it enough to pay the attention I did. And then I ended up with hours and hours and hours, and every hour of every flight I had on video. I set up recording banks in my office, and then just put them all on, record the signals, because I couldn't watch them. I had a job to do full time, and so I took them home at night and looked at them and realized what I had, and needed to learn a lot about it. Needed to do more than just react. So I sat on them and contacted various people I needed to contact, and everything went from there.
This a view of Chicago, and also some ice crystals or other items being illuminated by the rising sun. Atlantis moving into sunrise.
Man tonight has his eyes on the skies, looking for objects that may be out of this world.
What he's found so far will get you thinking about life on other planets. Tony Lopez in the newsroom with incredible pictures.
Yeah, they really are. When we see a big, bright object that lights up the night sky, chances are it's the big, bright moon, right? But what if that object is moving? And what if that object can't be explained?
Almost a blur. Went under the plane and pulled out in front.
Don't call the guy with a pack of cigs and a battery crazy or lazy. A spinal injury means Jeff Challenger spends most of his time in bed. What he sees from his perch is out of this world.
All right, well, that looks good.
Jeff records and studies images from the NASA television channel. Most of it's been uneventful. Most of it.
Ran across something that just, whoa, what was that?
That was this, the bright object ripping through space.
And I ran the tape back a little bit. Watched it again, I watched it again, and I'm hollering on the hall, "Hey, honey, you gotta come see this."
The object caught on tape did not come from, say, the camcorder of a UFO enthusiast, but from NASA during the Shuttle Atlantis mission in September of 2000. Since 1999, Jeff figures he's seen at least 100 of what he calls anomalous events, a fancy way of saying UFOs. Here's another one, recorded during the recent Discovery mission, and yet another.
They're not an ice chip, they're not a piece of debris, it's not the moon, it's not a star, not another spacecraft, not a satellite.
Jeffrey Challenger was a NASA mission researcher who stumbled upon some strange behavior being demonstrated on video during NASA's STS missions. Jeffrey pondered why the video which NASA beamed back to Earth from their space cameras was so noisy and filled with distortions. He thought, well, if all our TV and satellite programming comes from space clearly, why would NASA's come through so horribly? Jeff witnessed several instances where NASA had clear video broadcasts but suddenly introduced noise distortion and color banding that seemed to have been intentionally added by NASA to obscure the picture. By watching NASA's STS mission videos later, one may come across anomalies that could be labeled as possible UFO sightings. It is observed that NASA employs various methods to cover up such incidents in the video feed. These protocols include obfuscating the footage with digital noise or changing the camera direction, switching to another camera, or completely cutting off the video feed when an anomalous object is detected. All these actions are carried out by Mission Control through the CATO, Communication and Tracking Officer stationed on Earth.
With a different camera angle, we get a little view of the Astro 2 telescopes moving off screen now as the camera is panned upward, and gives us a look at the sky above Endeavour with stars visible on this black and white camera, a low light sensitive camera. But we now have lost